Hello, I'm Terry Gilliam with Leaving California and Life After California. Today, I am honored to welcome Carey Conley. I recently met Carey Conley at a great event in the Nashville area. Got to know Carey a little bit, and she has an amazing story and is offering an amazing opportunity for those of us in the group who are looking to leave California and how we go through that process and how we see ourselves outside of California. So welcome, Carey.
Thank you, Terry. This is so fun already. Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm thrilled to have you here. Well, we spent some time together, really got to know each other in Tennessee. So why don't you tell the group a little bit about yourself and what you bring and what you're offering to the group?
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, I have been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. I jumped out of the corporate world into this crazy world of that because at that point in my life, Terry, I was really wanting to stay home with my kids. We lived in Colorado, which is where I'm from. And I knew that when we started having this family that I wanted to be able to be there for them. But I also knew that I wanted to be able to work from home while I was raising my kiddos. So along the way, when I was working at one of my jobs, I had a mentor enter my life that was the first person in my life, because this was the 80s. So, right. So like everybody in the 80s was doing the thing, getting the college degree, getting the job, working up the ladder. And I was that person that changed jobs every 2 years because I just couldn't fit the job mold. And I had a mentor come into my life and tell me that, I could create my life to look like however I wanted it to look. And that's the first time anybody had ever told me that. So she encouraged me to sit down, take a day off of work with a legal pad of paper, because again, this was the 80s, and write out in great detail every area of my life of what I wanted it to look like. So I wrote a lot, and I still have all those pieces of paper, but I wrote a lot about where we were living. What did the space look like? What did the home look like? What did we do inside the home as far as entertaining and raising our family and our lifestyle? I wrote a lot of ideas around what kind of a person I wanted to become and what kind of mom I wanted to be. And then I started noodling a bunch of ideas around, okay, if I were to unplug from the corporate world and make that change, what do I think I would want to do? Because I really didn't have any idea at that point. So I wrote a lot of different ideas. And one of the things that popped out of my head and onto paper that day was that I was feeling so good about writing this vision and so certain that this was what I was supposed to do, that I literally on the last line wrote that someday I wanted to help other people write their vision on paper and follow a game plan that they could follow, create that game plan they could follow. So fast forward now, almost 30 years since I wrote that, I have now encouraged other people to do the same thing I did for many different reasons. Some of them have been entrepreneurs because they, like me, wanted to start something on their own, whether it was just a side hustle to make a little extra money, or they wanted to full on build, a serious income out of it. Some of them are people that I have life coached simply because they've been going through some challenges and changes in their life and have lost their vision altogether. And I can totally relate to that because in the past 6 years, few things have shifted in my life. And one of them is that I've lost my husband to suicide 6 years ago. And then 3 years after that, also lost my 25-year-old son. And to date, right now, as you and I are talking, I live in Arizona. I have a 26-year-old daughter who got married 2 years ago and had a baby in May. So I split my time going back and forth. And the reason I share that part of the story is that I can imagine a lot of the people who are now in this group and now following you, and why there's so many of them, Terry, is that they're going through some stuff, some major changes that have really shifted what they thought their vision long-term was going to be, right? So I'm finding a lot of people right now that if I ask them, do you have a vision for your life, are looking at me saying, either no, I never thought about that, or yes, I had it, but now I don't see it at all because what I thought it was going to be is not happening. And I just am still wanting to encourage people that no matter what has happened, whether you chose it or not, or whether it's outside of your control, no matter what the circumstance is, that you still can sit down and do what I did and create a vision of whatever you want your life to still look like. Because like I said, you've told me a little bit about this group. A lot of the things they're going through, right, are probably really challenging.
Absolutely. And just as you said, and by the way, thank you for that powerful story. Just as you said, people are looking to leave California not because they want to. They
Right.
feel like they're being forced to leave. And so it's not like they're seeking certainly a better life, but they're having to leave something that they've enjoyed maybe their entire life. They've lived on the coast or they've lived in a great neighborhood for decades perhaps, again, maybe their whole life. So is this something that will help them get through that process, that vision process, creating that vision so that they can get through the challenging times? Because I guarantee you, if I've lived somewhere for 50 years and I got to move across the country, there will be challenges.
So of course, you're leaving everything that you thought was going to be forever. You know, at the time that I decided to start doing this vision coaching officially about 8 years ago, and at that point, my husband and I had just become empty nesters, and my son was getting ready to graduate from college and start his career here in Arizona, which is how I ended up here. And we had just downsized out of our family home, our 6,000 square foot family home, into a smaller home that we had already renovated part of it for what we saw as the long term of our kids coming back eventually with their families and their kids. It was on a golf course. It was a beautiful view of the mountains. And we thought, okay, well, we're going to retire here and just be able to travel wherever our kids end up. And obviously, when my husband died, you know, that all shifted and changed totally outside of my control, which I know is a lot of how your California friends are feeling, being forced out. I have to tell you, I have a real heart for California. I'd always wanted to live there. So I can imagine how hard it is to leave, because if I had been living there at the coast, I'd find it challenging too. Now, here's the other thing. I also can relate to this because I now have fallen in love with Arizona because I've been living here full time, but my daughter's in Oklahoma City. So literally, as you and I are talking, 2 days ago, I signed a lease to have a second apartment in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, because I really want to be near my daughter and my grandson and be a part of their lives, not just the grandma who shows up, you know, on birthdays and holidays kind of thing. Would this be my choice to be living half my life in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma versus Scottsdale, Arizona? Absolutely not. But the bigger part of my vision is that I first and foremost know that I want the freedom and the flexibility, like I just said, to be with her when she needs me. And it may not be ideal that I'm going to be spending half my time in a 2-bedroom apartment in Oklahoma City, but it is what it is for the time being. And that's another point I want to make, is that I know that a lot of these people are feeling like they're being forced out and having to make a change and maybe move somewhere that they don't have any roots. They're having to recreate everything. I'm going to have to create new friendships in Oklahoma because I don't plan on spending 24/7 with my daughter, of course. We've had that dialogue already. Um, you know, I'm going to have to do what I did when I got here to Arizona and start going, all right, if this is where I'm going to be now, how can I make the best of this and still be able to travel back to where I want to travel to? And it's not forever. I think sometimes when we look at a change, we think, okay, this is it. It's forever. It's done. And I just have to say, you know, I'm going to keep one foot here so that I can eventually get us all permanently to Arizona, if that happens, but also still seeing, all right, what else can I create in my vision that is something I still do want for us? Um, and just keep going, keep being the person that I want to be, and keep helping the people I want to help.
That's great. And so a vision is not something that's necessarily set in stone, or is it can a vision evolve?
Well, it can definitely evolve, but I'm going to tell you the foundation of it. As I mentioned here, you know, I wrote a lot in my vision when I was in this. I was about 26 years old when I wrote this. And instead of writing very physical things like the things that I wanted to have or achieve, I noticed that I wrote a lot about my core values, what I valued as far as being a wife, a mom, a leader in my community. And so what's evolved, of course, have been the physical things that I'm not any longer living in Colorado with my husband, retiring with him. But the core values of what I still hold true for me have only been 10x actually through all the circumstances I've been through. I'm more passionate now about being um, a vision expert, a soul visionary, helping people find their vision than I've ever been, because so many people don't have it. And people without vision, of course, is a slippery slope into drifting in life, not knowing that you matter, especially for people who suffer with depression and beyond. So I just really want people to know that your vision, when you write it, it can be whatever you want it to be, no matter what your circumstances are right now, whether you're choosing the change or you're being forced out. And even though you may write some things around your family and what that looks like, and that might change, most likely the core values of what you want to leave as a legacy will not. It'll only be enhanced through the experiences.
And that's probably why people have to leave California. It doesn't line up with their vision that they have
Exactly.
internalized.
Yeah. Because even though they love the physical space of it, like I've told you, I love California. I would have lived there in a heartbeat. I begged my family to let me go to college there, and it just didn't work out. I've always wanted to have a beach house, and that is still a part of my vision. So even though we might have to leave the geographical, physical space of where we've been, it doesn't mean that we change or that our values change. We just have to learn how to adapt. So many people this year have been using the word pivot, and I rather use the word adapt, because pivot means you kind of turn and run. Adapting means you go, okay, I'm going to take the best of what I still want and make that work wherever I need to make that work.
And with that in mind, on December 11th, 2020, upcoming next week, you are having an event that you are going to allow, you've given us some special consideration that you're offering to the group. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so this is a workshop that normally I would be doing live. I used to do them about every 6 to 8 weeks in a day. I'd bring people into a live room called Vision is Victory. And it's where I take people first talking about why having this written, powerful, detailed vision on paper fixes just about everything people are struggling with. And then I take them through a process of, okay, how do I write this? How do I get it out of my head and onto paper? And then we talk a lot about what's coming up when we talk about the vision, what we wrote. Because a lot of times people get super excited about it, but right behind the excitement comes all the doubt and all the fear and all the, well, I don't even know where to start, and they get overwhelmed. So I get them to take that and break it down into bite-sized chunks that they can deal with, so that at the end of this workshop, they will have a blueprint they can start executing right away and not get overwhelmed and feel really good about it. So I'm doing that workshop next Friday, the 11th. It'll be from 10 to 1 p.m. Arizona time, which is now Mountain Time because we don't do the shift. Yeah, it's 1:47 for people to come to the workshop, but we set up a code for you, Terry, and it's just your name, Terry, that when they go to the link that we're going to post with this, and they go to, register and sign in, then when they see the place to put the code, they'll just put your name in, and it'll drop $100 off the price of the workshop. So it'll only be 47. And with every one registration, you also get to bring somebody else free with you.
Wow, that is awesome. So it's 147, but if you put in the code Terry, Terry,
Right.
you'll take $100 off, and that also includes a second person that can accompany you. And it's from, you said 10 to 1 Mountain, which it would be 9 to noon California time.
Yep.
And of course, if you're elsewhere in the country, and the reality is, I would wager that 99% of the people watching this, if not more, don't have a vision written
Right.
out. They don't have it. So no matter what, if you're 10 years away from leaving California, or if you've just left California and you've moved to your perfect home, you still need to have a vision for your life. The Bible says people without a vision perish.
Yes.
So we all need to have a vision. And by the way, I'm certainly going to be there, because as much as I think about things, I haven't written out my vision. So
Right.
that's a great opportunity for $47 for 3 hours to do that. And we'll have the link included in this post, and looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I am honored that you asked me to serve your community, Terry. And you're right. Regardless of the situation of this group and what you all are going through, everybody needs a vision. And I want to encourage you, no matter what age you are, to take this seriously. My heart really is not only for adults my age-ish, but I really am passionate about helping young adults get their vision in life because most of them have nothing. Um, they can't even tell me what they're going to do the next 3 months, let alone 3 years, right? And that scares me because they are absolutely drifting through life and it's not working out so well. They're not very happy. So no matter what situation you're in, what age you are, I hope that people will come and join us.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Carey. I think your timing is great too. It's been a challenging year for everybody. Nobody envisioned what we're going through now, but if you have that vision, you can adapt as you go through challenges like this. And then adding on top of that, if you're looking to leave California, you can also adapt as you leave California in these challenging times.
Right, right. Becomes the anchor in all the storms of life.
Oh, I like that. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
All right, Carey. Well, I'm looking forward to next Friday, the 11th, December 11th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll have the link there. And I really appreciate your time today.
Oh,
It's been great to get to know you. And I know you're going to help a lot of people through
thank you,
this.
Terry. I'm blessed by this. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.